Hey guys, what is up? Public here back with another Heroic Raid Boss video. This is Tindral Sageswift today. This is one of the last ones we did with testing on Heroic. This is the Dragon Riding boss, which is pretty fun. And I actually think they did a pretty good job with this fight. Overall, had a lot of fun. So basically what's going to happen, the fight's broken up into 3 chunks, and each one is intersected with a little dragon riding component. So, there's 3 platforms. To get to every single one, you hop on your dragon, fly to him, and have to burn him. So we'll kind of cover this platform by platform. Some of the mechanics are shared. In this first platform, there are these massive growths that everyone gets. So we decided to kind of group up to kind of AoE them down quickly. There's some dispels that follow afterwards. And then you're mostly just dodging fire. And that's kind of phase 1. So really just a single target burn phase. Aside from those kind of pesky roots, I opted to just run a kind of pretty normal single target build with Shadow Crash. And then I was able to kind of bank up my 4 set stacks to do big damage on those. You can see I did that in a few places here. Not sure if that's going to be needed on Prog. It felt like Shadow could do AoE damage if we need to, but we can also just do more single target instead. But you can Shadow Crash Halo. You can actually pre-Halo Shadow Crash if you time it right. If you really need that damage, maybe you need more AoE trinkets. Maybe that's an option. Although again, probably not. It's still kind of more of like a big single target burn. And that's the kind of the first opening phase here. So honestly, pretty great fight for us, just as we get pretty regular Twist of Fate procs while we're all doing our cooldowns, and we can honestly move out pretty easily. We can use Dispersion to break out of those roots if we want. Unfortunately, Fade does not work, but it is what it is. And we can also mass dispel us off of the dispel you saw people going in the back to get off of. So both pretty nice from a priest utility standpoint. And then we get into the dragon riding part, which is very exciting. So during this fight, you're collecting green orbs that give the whole raid a stacking damage amp. So it's not like a solo buff, which I love that they did that. So once your raid gets 10 of those, you're capped out on the damage amp. And then anyone that picks up the same kind of green orb after turns into just a speed boost that you have to fly through. So really the goal is to get to that platform as soon as the boss does, that way you can start hitting him immediately. He will then start this supernova cast. If it goes off, you die. That's it. The trick is you can't interrupt it until you break his shield. Or I should say, once you break his shield, he interrupts his cast. So we did opt to lust this first shield just so we could keep seeing more of the fight. Although from like a boss damage perspective, that's not really doing anything because you're just breaking through an added shield on there. So I think in practice you'll probably end up lusting either on pole or in the very last platform kind of a situation. Depending on the fight time. Now, once you get into the second phase, there is a bit of a different overlap, but there's still the kind of mass entangle mechanic. They still have the dispels that are the same. The difference is there are now little swirls of like plants or mushrooms, whatever you want to call these guys that spawn. And every time you soak one, you get like a ticking debuff on yourself. So big raid damage is happening at this point. I found I could like soak 4-ish and I was fine. But things like Turtle or Cloak of Shadows, from rogues or hunters and rogues, they can kind of run around and collect them all. If you don't collect them, the raid just takes big pulsing damage until the phase ends. So you definitely need to soak all of them. It was pretty deadly when we messed that up. And there's also tank mechanics, but no one cares about tanks. They do their own thing. And that's kind of this platform. So you can see he's adding a couple mechanics, removing a few others, and kind of combining others. And that's kind of this platform. The room is massive. You do have quite a lot of room to play with, which I love. Definitely lets your tanks be a little more creative about what they're doing. So yeah, can kind of be careful, use more of the room, which is nice. And then once, again, he'll get to a point, he's going to spawn out all of these feathers again once he goes into his flight form. It is a little awkward to pick these guys up. You have to like walk over to it, click an extra action button, and then you can press your dragon riding button. And then the second dragon riding intermission got pretty ridiculous. You can see the orbs are actually, the flame orbs are moving. And I don't know, I died on the second one. I must have hit something. I don't really know what I hit. Maybe it spawned in my face. Who knows? It's going to be chaotic and crazy. And you can see we didn't hit the burn, or we didn't make the second cast of Supernova. So overall, it was a pretty fast-paced boss. It felt we were always kind of doing something. There's always a big burn to get through. The drag around mechanic honestly doesn't feel very gimmicky, although the second one with the moving ones That was a little troll. It's going to take a bit to figure that out. But yeah, that is Tindral Sageswift, which is a fun boss. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you for the next one. Thanks.